Stonecarver is one of the oldest trades in the world. It's where we get much of our history, and it's been around in all different cultures. Wherever there's stone and people have built with stone or created art with it, anything with an elaborate or complex or ornate shape in stone, whether it's gravestones or gargoyles or statues, they needed to shape it and carve it. My parents exposed me to all forms of the arts, and it was three-dimensional work, particularly in stone, that grabbed me very early. And it helped that I grew up near the University of Chicago, and I'd ride my bicycle around campus looking at the gargoyles, wanting to do that. So I started dragging home bits of stone from torn down buildings. It was during the urban renewal period when a lot was being torn down in the south side, and there were a lot of old brick and stone buildings, so I could go with a wagon, grab a piece of limestone, bring it home, and then try to figure out what to use for tools and how to work it. When I was first getting interested, I was told this was a dead art, partly because tastes had changed. In the year 1900, there were around 100 stone mills in the Chicago area, and each one employed carvers. You walk around any old neighborhood and look up and you see all kinds of fantastic carvings, all different stuff. But it was considered normal to spend 3, 4, 5% of the budget of a building on ornamentation, whereas now if we spend 1% on the arts, that's considered extravagant. I knew that's what I was going to do, and I didn't have a plan B in there. All through my teenage years, I was, doing different carvings, carving portraits of friends, things like that. But I realized I was just trying to reinvent the wheel. I had to find people who really knew how to do it. I first tried going to the National Cathedral when I was 16. Long-haired kid in torn jeans walking up to the old Italian carvers and trying to talk his way, and that didn't work. But when I was 20, I found out where in Italy there was still carving going on. I got over there and was able to get in a shop initially with 2 carvers who, between the 2 of them, had 110 years experience. Both had been working as carvers since they were about 11 years old. Basically learned it from working alongside people who'd learned it from their grandfathers. Right now, I've got a couple projects in the shop. I always have, multiple things going on. And at the moment, both are gravestones. One is a tree stump tombstone. The tree stump tombstones are an old tradition. They were very popular, especially 1890s to 1930s. I love carving them. It's a wonderful genre to work in. It allows a lot of expression and personalization and creativity. One thing with the tree stumps is there are all different types of trees, and often there'll be a reason to do one that fits in the environment. I did one last year that went to Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia, so the client specifically requested that it be southern live oak bark, so I had to sort of study pictures of it, had to do 3 or 4 sample panels till I got the sequence down for carving it to look like southern live oak. This one that I'm doing now, the family has 2 old tree stumps in the same cemetery. So they sent me photos, and it's a different type of bark than I've done before, but I worked on figuring out a way to make it fit in and match the bark that they had. There are ways, with anything with bark, there are ways you can just rip right through it, and there are ways you can sit there and diddle around on all the details for hours and hours, depending on what you're trying to achieve. I like having a mix. I like the fact that it's never the same thing twice. It's always new problems to solve and new things to learn and figure out. Anything I get interested in, anything I study or observe, I can bring into it. If I get interested in flowers, I'll bring it into the carving, or if I'm doing carving, I've got to go and study flowers. There's ways to incorporate whatever I encounter in the carving and to learn from it and have it feed the work. As I mentioned, I went to the cathedral when I was 16 to try to get hired. Didn't. I went back there after I'd returned from Italy, and I met with Vincent Palumbo, the master carver, inquiring if there were any openings. And He talked to me for a while. He really wasn't interested at all in pictures of the work I'd done or anything else. Then he took me and showed me in his workshop, showed me, opened the cabinet with all his tools and said, here, take a look, pick them up. So I picked up a chisel, real nice chisel, picked it up, looked at it, set it down. And it was something at the moment, when I did it, I paid absolutely no attention to that. My interest was in the chisel. It was a nice chisel. I wanted to look at it. 6 months after I'd been working there, he told me the reason I was hired is the way my hand picked up the chisel and the way the chisel fell into my fingers. That told him more than any pictures I could show him or anything else I could tell him. It showed that my hand knew how to hold the tool. Il ragazzo è della materia. The boy is of the material, meaning he's got stone in his blood.